Yo, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of Fuel Fit Reactions. And this is my live stream show, podcast, whatever you want to call it, where I dissect and I react to certain videos online when they talk about health, fitness, wellness, and whatever the case may be. All right. So what I want to talk about today is fasting, right? And if you don't know, my book is out right now, Fasted. All right. Just got through writing a new book, Fasted, Unlocking the Origins and Transformational Power of an Ancient Practice. It's out right now on Amazon, or you can click the link below and grab your copy directly from me. All right. But what I want to talk about today is fasting, okay? Fasting. And I want to share a few different clips as well and react to a few different clips, right? Of people talking about certain health conditions, talking about fasting, and most importantly, type 2 diabetes, right? Because I don't care if you're black, white, Chinese, blue, green, purple, diabetes is running rampant through the culture right now. And one of the best ways to fix this is to improve your health and your wellness. And fasting is one way where you can really improve your health to a large degree. And I want to share a clip that went viral a few weeks ago. A legend, Irv Gotti, recently passed away. Rest in peace, due to complications of diabetes, right? And one of the last interviews he did was with Drink Champs with Nori, all right, which is a great podcast, right? If you don't know it, go check out that podcast. But he did an interview with Nori, and you can tell he wasn't in the best condition. And I want to share a few clips from that podcast where he was kind of going into detail of that, right? So I want to get into that real fast because I feel like it's super relevant, right? So let's check it out real quick.
You said something before we started rolling, and if you don't want to talk about it, we could edit. But you're saying your family was telling you not to come here because of a health condition, like because health is important for all of us.
Right? My boys and Angie, my daughter's the illest protector of me. Right. She'll fuck somebody. Yeah. Yeah. So
make some noise for your daughter.
Your kids. My kids. They just didn't want me drinking and smoking.
All right.
You know, my diabetes, my number's been high. So they just wanted me to. He's like, Dad, you can't do Drink Champs. I said, yo, I ain't gonna drink or smoke.
Explain to somebody, my bad for cutting you off, but explain to somebody who don't have money. Like, you know, you were talking about the money that you had, the money that you made, and you're still dealing with diabetes. Does having money help you with diabetes, or that's no way? It
helps a little because you could get a chef, you could nutritionist, you could get
proper medical attention if you don't have money.
So yeah, money helps.
Okay.
Money helps with everything, dog.
Right.
Or rather have money than not have money. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because you know, and I realized that the bank, with Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, so they had this meeting to tell me all of the things that they could do to help me.
With the honey.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I was just like, this is so fucked up.
How they care all of a sudden too.
They was getting me. They said we have the best doctors. If you get sick, we'll get you the proper medical. I'm like, so if you ain't got no bread, it's fuck you. You're left for dead.
You got overdraft fees for you.
No, but that's fucked
They got
up.
overdraft fee protection. That's all they got for you.
That's so fucked up. You got bread, and all of these. You got more help.
You unlock shit. It's wild.
Yeah, you ain't got no bread. It's like, get the fuck out of my office, dog. You're dying? Hurry up and die. Yo, it's crazy. You better get some money.
Now,
So what does that tell us? Get some bread, nigga.
all right. So what is diabetes for a person that don't know?
I don't fucking know. It's
It's your sugar levels in your body.
Right. So that's the thing where people be like,
Yo, I wanna talk about that real fast because the way that he's talking about it in describing having diabetes is coming from a place of not really understanding it. And that's very important because when we talk about our health, when we're talking about what to eat, how to eat to be healthy, how to eat to stay alive, what food combinations to eat, how to start going more plant-based, you have to have knowledge of self. You have to know how to eat. I just made a post on Instagram and on Facebook talking about, stop eating for taste. Stop eating for taste. I talk to people all the time, and one of the first concerns with going vegan or improving their health in their eating habits is, I want something that tastes good. Well, you have to disconnect from that and start connecting to food is fuel, right? Everything that we eat, everything that we consume turns into us, becomes a part of us, right? So if you look at it in that context, do you really want to be eating donuts and have a donut body? Do you really want to eat pizza all day, every day and have a pizza body? Those ingredients in those foods become the mechanisms of our body. So how do you really want to build your temple? How do you really want to build your frame? How do you really want to thrive? We got to stop being so concerned with how something tastes. We've been brainwashed and conditioned to want something sweet or want something salty, right? If something doesn't taste as sweet as a canned soda, we say that it's nasty and we don't want to eat it or drink it. We have to stop thinking that way. If you really want to be healthy, you have to start thinking in the context of, okay, I'm eating this because it's going to make me feel good. Delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. That's the most important thing. Instant gratification is going to kill you. Delayed gratification is going to keep you healthy. All right. Let's jump back into it, though.
It's rampant with black people.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous, though.
all right.
And what it does is it starts deteriorating your body.
All right.
So.
And you good? Like you got it under control?
No.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, because when you been diagnosed, or this is a recent thing?
I've been diagnosed with diabetes forever.
Because it's like the smallest I've ever seen you. Like
it's hereditary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been diagnosed with diabetes.
You have to do insulin?
Alvarez.
Yo, so one thing that excuse me, one thing that he's saying right there is important. Nori asked him, does he have his diabetes under control? And he said no. He said no. He doesn't have it under control. And he also said that he's been diagnosed for a long time. I really want you to pay attention to what he's saying right there. This is the last interview he did before passing away.
So you better get some money. So what does that tell us? Get some bread, nigga.
All right. So what is diabetes for a person that don't know?
I don't fucking know.
It's your sugar levels in your body.
Right. So that's the thing where people
it
be like,
runs rampant with black people.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous, though.
All right.
And what it does is it starts deteriorating your body.
All right.
So.
And you good? Like you got it under control?
No.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay, because
so
when you
sad.
been diagnosed, or this is a recent thing?
I've been diagnosed with diabetes forever.
Because it's like the smallest I've ever seen you. Like
It's hereditary.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been diagnosed with diabetes.
You have to do insulin?
I do want to mention when he said that it's hereditary, diabetes isn't so much hereditary, and that goes into the nature versus nurture type of complaint, right? You know, I want to explain this because I think it's very, very important. When it comes to nurture versus nature, nature meaning, you know, you have no control over your health. You just get dealt certain cards from your parents, right? The nurture is the way that you grow up, what you eat, your lifestyle. That's nature. That's nurture. So nature versus nurture. And even though certain things are hereditary, you know, heart disease, diabetes, all these things are hereditary, right? This stuff can get passed down to you from your parents, but most things are nurture, right? Because you have your genes, your genetics, but also you have something called epigenetics, all right? Your genetics and epigenetics. So your genes are what get passed down to you from generation to generation to generation. You have the same genetic code as your ancestors in Africa. Well, if you're melanated, right? Even if you're white, you still got the same genetic code. I'm just saying, right? So the genes that are in you were in your parents, their parents, their parents, their parents, right? So your genes get passed down, right? So your genes can't change. So whatever genetic code, like if your parent is tall or short, chances are you're going to be tall or short, right? If your parents weren't very athletic, you're not going to be very athletic, right? Um, LeBron James' son is in the NBA, yeah, because his dad is LeBron James, right? So you get their genetics. But here's the thing that you can change. The genetics are one thing, but the epigenetics are on top of that. And the epigenetics, think about it like this. Think about a factory. Okay. Think about a factory. So the factory, the factory, the building, that's the epigenetics. Okay. The factory is the epigenetics. And the machinery, the conveyor belt, the machinery inside the factory, those are the genes. The genes can't change. But the epigenetics, you can turn on certain machinery and you can turn off certain machinery. I hope y'all follow me. This is very advanced information right here. So if you go into the epigenetics, maybe you have a certain genetic trait that will leave you more susceptible to diabetes, right? If you eat right, if you exercise, if you take the right precautions, you can turn off this certain machinery in the factory, aka you could turn off this certain genetic trait. I hope this is making sense, right? I hope this is making sense because this is very important. And I got this information from a book that I read a long time ago, right? And of course, I have certifications in nutrition, but read a book a long time ago called Deep Nutrition, and in that book, it talked about epigenetics and genetics, where you can't change your genes. Your genes that the genetic lottery that people talk about, you can't change your genes. But certain genes and certain genetic traits, you can turn on and turn off. Meaning, if you have a food sensitivity to certain things because it got passed down to you from your parents, by eating right, by exercising, by doing certain things, taking herbs, right, you can turn off this certain genetic trait. You can't change it. It's still there, but you can turn it on and turn it off. For example, my father wasn't very athletic, right? He wasn't athletic at all. I had to work 10 times harder than most people to build the physique that I have, right? I have to work 10 times as harder than someone who is naturally athletic. But by me doing this, I'm turning on certain genetic traits that my father didn't have turned on in his genetic code, right? So my children, if I have children, right, they're going to have a better advantage on being athletic, right? They're going to have a better chance in being more athletic because I'm making these changes in my genetic code, right? I'm turning on certain genetic traits for the next generation, right? So that's a long-winded explanation of what Herb Gotti was talking about. He was talking about his genetic. Diabetes was passed down to him. It's partially true, but if he was eating right, look, I'm old enough to remember when Ja Rule and Ashanti and they was popping bottles in every video. He had a wild life, so he can say diabetes was genetic, but he lived a certain lifestyle that turned on this genetic trait. All right, so let's get back into it. Put a comment in the leave a comment below if I'm making sense, if y'all getting some value from this. All right, this is very important, right? Because maybe you're dealing with diabetes or dealing with some type of illness. It can be hereditary, but at the same time, you can turn off that. You don't have to lay down and accept it, if that makes sense. All right.
Time to time, not all the time, but time to time.
Okay.
When my number gets too high, shot.
Wow.
I heard that it's reversible.
Yes, it's reversible,
but
but
it's really a diet thing.
you got to change the way you eat.
Like be a vegan?
You got to all that. But you know what's fucked up with diabetes? So anything that's you're gonna like or taste good, horrible for you.
Mm-hmm.
Fried chicken.
Forget it.
Killer.
Like carbohydrates are all sugar.
Cupcakes.
Not killer.
Bro,
Liquor sugar.
Now what's some
Tuna fish sandwiches.
what's some nasty shit?
Rice cakes?
Yeah, rice cakes.
Rice cakes?
No, what's some
bad, right?
yeah, rice cakes is not a good example.
Okay.
Like broccoli,
Spinach.
I had some garlic broccoli last night. It was good.
the garlic,
Garlic's not good?
probably not.
Wow.
So what the fuck do you eat? Cardboard?
You're supposed to eat some leaves or some shit like that.
You playing, right?
No, flavor, because everything got.
Yo, I talk to people every single day in the DM, on the phone, on consultations. I talk to people every single day, and they have the same type of reservations that she's talking about, right? I don't want to eat that. That's nasty. Or I want to be able to eat what I want. And I'm saying, like, you're literally, you're sick. You're sick. But you don't want to change the way that you eat. You don't want to change your habits. You don't want to do what you can do to make things better for yourself. Right? Because if I told a person, hey, are you a morning person or a night person? They say I'm a night person. I'm not a morning person. Okay. Well, what if I told you you had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning tomorrow and meet me at this store and I'm gonna give you $1 million, right? Everybody will wake up. Everybody wake up and meet me at that store, assuming that they believed me, right? They might think it's a scam, but if it was really true, everybody will meet me at that store to get that $1 million, right? It's the same thing with your health, but people don't see it that way. You know, people, it goes back to instant gratification and delayed gratification. You get that instant dopamine hit when you eat the pizza, when you eat the donuts, when you eat the sweets, when you eat the candy. You get an instant rush of feel good. But exercising, eating vegetables and fruits, walking, doing cardio, you don't get no instant gratification from that. You know when you get the gratification? Later on. It's delayed gratification. You have to start living your life through the lens of delayed gratification and stop looking for the short-term thrill. Look for the long-term will. I like that. I'm gonna say that again. Forget short-term will. I forgot what I said that fast, but it was fire. Luckily, this is recorded, right? But the problem is people they don't want to eat better. You don't want to eat better. You have to want to eat better. And that's why I wrote my book, Fasted, right? So if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to reverse some type of illness, if you have diabetes, if you have high blood pressure, whatever the case may be, you want to get my book, Fasted, Unlocking the Origins of an Ancient Practice. It goes over all the various types of fasting, how to fast, the best way to fast, how to get started if you're a beginner. And it goes over the benefits of why you should be fasting in the first place. And most importantly, it shows you how to create your own fasting template and fasting regimen. All right. So if you want the book, the link is going to be a link below. It's not there right now, but it's going to be a link below. After this stream is up, you'll be able to grab a copy of my book. All right. If you want to change your life, I promise this book will change your life. Right. Let's get back into the video though.
I told you, if you fucking eat something and it tastes good, it's better.
Even too much fruit is sugar, depending
That's
on
right.
the level of diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So watermelon, you can't have no watermelon?
I can have fruit, but
He has to watch how
Moderation.
much of the sugar.
Yeah, I said watermelon, not fruit.
No, that's
Watermelon is a whole different thing for black people.
out the fruit
This is
category.
why my,
Out of the fruit category.
this is why my kids get mad, because I'm be telling them like, yo, I'm gonna live.
Right.
I'm like, y'all motherfuckers want me to die
Right.
and not enjoy life. I'm gonna enjoy life and do certain shit.
That right there. That right there. And I want to emphasize that this is his last interview before he passed away from complications of diabetes, man. I'm really trying to emphasize this point. He said, you know, his kids was trying to help him change the way that he eat and everything. He said that I want to live my life. I want to live. I don't want to eat like this. I want to be able to do what I want to do. Well, people tell me that all the time. They say, what's the point of being vegan? What's the point of eating healthy? We all gonna die. We all gonna die. Justin, we all gonna die. What's the point of eating healthy? We all gonna die. I say, how stupid can you be? How dumb can you be? Of course we all gonna die. Being healthy, working out, eating right, doing the things that you're supposed to do, being disciplined isn't about living longer. But on average, vegans do live longer. But it's not about the quantity of life. It's about the quality of life. Think about this. Irv Gotti, this right here. This is his last interview. And as you can see how he's talking, he's not in the best health condition. So him saying, I want to live life, that's not living. And no disrespect to the dead, rest in peace to Irv Gotti, but this is not living. That's not living. So you rather sacrifice your temple, sacrifice your health, and eat terrible food and sacrifice your wellness. So when you get older, now you're either trying to correct it or you just say, I didn't mess myself up. Now I just got to deal with the consequences, right? That's like a person, that's like a person who robs a bank and then they get caught and say, oh, dang, I got to spend the rest of my life in jail. Yeah, you got to deal with the consequences, all right? And the whole reason why I'm sharing this video and reacting to this video is to paint a picture for you. It's to paint a picture. It's millions of Irv Gottis out there. It's millions of them. I talk to dozens of them a week. People who know they need to change. Maybe it's you right now watching this video, right? Maybe it's you right now watching me talk and scream at the camera. Maybe you know you need to lose 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. Maybe you've been you've been wanting to lose this weight for years, but you don't want to invest in yourself and spend money to get help or get a coach. Right? Maybe you want to build some muscle. Maybe you don't like the way that you look. But guess what? You don't want to make the sacrifices. Maybe you have a friend or a family member that are dealing with some of these ailments. Maybe you're dealing with an ailment. Maybe you have high blood pressure or diabetes. And maybe you didn't had it for years. Knowing that, this is the point, it's completely reversible. But guess what? That's gonna take some willpower. It's gonna take some dedication. It's gonna take some time and effort. Most people aren't willing to put in that time and effort. What's up, beautiful heart? What's going on? Yeah, it's gonna take some time and effort, but most people aren't willing to put in that time and that effort to make it happen. It boggles my mind, but it really doesn't, because I was there before too. 8 years ago, I was there. I was there. You couldn't pay me to walk into a gym 10 years ago. You couldn't pay me to eat some broccoli or eat or go vegan 10 years ago. You probably would have had to slap the McDonald's out my hand, or slap the Hennessy bottle out of my hand, right? Now you can't pay me to drink some Hennessy or some hard liquor. I might do some wine or something, but you can't pay me to eat some fast food right now. You couldn't pay me enough, So it's crazy, right? I wanna get back into it just a little bit more.
All right.
No, Dad, but you can't do that. I'm like, guys, stop me.
All right.
Because it's like I gotta live.
All right.
So yeah, I'm gonna have the fucking watermelon.
Goddamn, make some watermelon.
But what you're supposed to do, exercise.
All right. All right. You gonna go see Russell in Bali?
No.
In Bali?
In Bali.
You have to take care of your health no matter what. You have to take care of your health. If you want to get healthy, you want to get fit, you want to be fit and healthy for the rest of your life, you have to make sacrifices. Most people aren't willing to make sacrifices. I had to make sacrifices. Everybody that gets to a place in their life where they feel their best, they had to make sacrifices. So you can't go through life thinking that you'll be able to get what you want out of life if you're not willing to make the sacrifice. I like that. Let me write that down. You can't be so arrogant to think that you'll get what you want out of life when you're not willing to make the sacrifice. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this interview right here. I just wanted to talk about that quick part right there where he was talking about, not wanting to change his life. And it's sad, man. It's sad. It's a wake-up call, bro. It's a wake-up call. Like, it should be a wake-up call. Like, it really should be a wake-up call. Like, I'm not even kidding. But I wanna share another video where we kind of break down type 2 diabetes and break down how to reverse it and things like that. So hold up. Let's see. There we go. Bear with me, people. Yeah.
Low carbohydrate diets. Remember that the disease of type 2 diabetes is your body having too much glucose, which is a type of sugar. Imagine a barrel where you can put water in. The water's like that glucose, and the barrel's like your body.
I want to point something out what he said right there. Type 2 diabetes is when the body has too much glucose, all right? Too much glucose. What is glucose? Glucose is complex carbohydrate structures. So people always say, "Oh, I can't eat fruit." No, if you have diabetes, you want to eat fruit. That's what you want because fruit doesn't contain any glucose. I'm gonna repeat that one more time for the people in the back. Fruit doesn't contain any glucose. Fruit contains fructose. And the difference between those two things is glucose needs insulin to penetrate the cells. All right. So glucose get high in the blood. And when glucose get high, insulin gets high as well. Right. Let me put this. So when glucose gets high, insulin gets high as well. And the more bad foods you eat, the 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 consistency of the glucose stays in your blood. And as long as the glucose is in the blood, the insulin stays high. And we all know that when you for example, you get used to things, you get less desensitized to it. The more you are used to something, the less it piques your interest. For example, right? Like if you're playing a game or you watching a movie. Say you watch the same movie 10 days in a row. You're gonna be like bored, like I've seen this movie like 10 times already. It's the same thing that happens in your body, right? So when the insulin stays high, your body gets desensitized to it. So your body goes into something called insulin resistance, and the insulin isn't working properly, which keeps the blood glucose high, which causes type 2 diabetes. So the way to fix this is to not have so many of those insulin spikes. So you have to, one way to do that is fasting, right? So when you fast, the body doesn't have so many glucose spikes, which can get your body you can get your body back to a place of insulin sensitivity, and you can stop being so insensitive to that insulin. So that way the body can start working properly. But another cheat code is fruit. Fruit doesn't contain any glucose. So when you eat fruit, the body the insulin doesn't raise. So when you eat some chips or some bread, insulin spikes. But when you eat fruit, insulin doesn't spike because fructose can penetrate the cells without insulin. All right. So I wanted to point that out from what he just said right there. Glucose is what causes it, not fruit. Fruit. I hate when doctors say that. Doctors say stay away from fruit. It's the dumbest thing in the world. They act like they don't have no idea what holistic healing is, right? Let's get back to it.
Store a certain amount of this glucose, but when it's full, it's going to spill over. When it spills over, you see it in the blood. When you see the high blood glucose, you get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And where did that glucose come from? It came from your diet. So you got to look for the sources of sugar in your diet and get rid of it.
I knew that I wasn't in good health. Then one day I went to get my blood work done.
My bad, people. I think I should go ahead and get YouTube Red. They say if you get YouTube Red, you don't have to worry about these ads. I think it might be worth it. I think YouTube Red might be worth it. But we back in effect, you feel me? We back like chiropractic.
Here is that some foods are going to raise your blood glucose and some foods don't raise your blood glucose. So you want to emphasize those foods that don't raise your blood glucose. And that's done by cutting down your carbohydrates. But what foods are high and what foods are low? You can certainly test it yourself using a blood glucose monitor, but you can also go to something called the glycemic index, which has been used for decades. And what the glycemic index is a scale of how much a certain food on average is going to raise your blood glucose. And it's a scale of 0 to 100, 100 being glucose, which is the most that your blood glucose goes up in response to that food. So 0.
Another thing, make sure y'all like the video so this video can get out to more people. Like the video, comment on the video. If y'all like this content, if this content is valuable, like it, comment. Look, I'm not asking for anything. I'm just asking for you to like and comment on the video. That's it. Help this video get out to more people because this information is valuable. This is free information I'm giving y'all. You know what I mean? Like the video.
Is good. 100 means that food tends to maximally raise your blood glucose. And this is done by measuring a whole lot of people and taking the average response, but your own response may be different, which is why it may be useful to personalize it. There's something else called the glycemic load, which is also a very useful concept because it takes into account both the glycemic index and how much a typical portion of food is, because certain foods may have a very high glycemic index, but a relatively low glycemic load because.
Let me break that down into into ebonics, into nigga talk. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's talking in very technical terms. I'm gonna break it down for you what he's talking about, though. You feel me? So basically, what he's saying right there is portion sizes. Portion sizes. What he just said was very fancy, but it's portion sizes. Think about it like this: when you buy something in the store, in a bag or a box, you need to be eating whole foods. Stay away from the bag and boxes. But if you're eating something that come in a bag or box, if you look on the back of it, this is water, obviously, so it's no calories in here. But if you look on the back, right, it's going to say serving size, however much, or it's going to say like 2 or 3 servings in it, or 3 servings, right? If you look down at the nutrition facts, it's going to say how much sugar in this, or how many carbs and how much protein in it, and say it says 20. Well, that's 20 grams of sugar per serving. So if it's 4 servings, that means that's 20, 40, 30, 60 grams of sugar that you just ate. So you have to look at serving. That's why serving sizes and portion sizes is so important, because you can drink. So I'll give you a quick story. I was hanging out with one of my partners, and he was drinking an Arizona tea. I haven't had one of those since I was like 19, right? But he was drinking the Arizona tea, and it had like some ginseng and it had some healthy stuff in it, whatever like that. But I said, look on the back of it. He looked on the back because I said, oh, it got all that healthy stuff in it. That's cool. They must be improving their quality. We looked on the back and it said 23 grams of sugar, right? He said like 23 grams of sugar, right? And it was like 3 servings, like one of those little Arizona teas, like this tall. It was like I think it was like 2 servings, right? But it was like 23 grams of sugar, or like 33, something like 33, I think. So drinking that whole can of Arizona tea would have been 60 grams of sugar. And another thing you have to watch out for is when you look on the back of a package and it says added sugar, that means they put white cane sugar in it, or high fructose corn syrup in it, right? So you want to avoid anything that has a whole lot of added sugar. Now, if something just has sugar in it, it says sugar, that means it's coming from fruit or some natural sources. But added sugar is the stuff that you want to stay away from. That's high fructose corn syrup, that's Syracuse, that's all these crazy names for sugar that they come up with. High fructose corn syrup, cane sugar, all that stuff, right? But yeah, so I was telling my partner, I was like, bro, you drink that whole can, it's like 60 grams of sugar, and it's added sugar, which is not good sugar, which is glucose, right? Fruit sugar is okay, but glucose is the stuff that you want to stay away from. So I just wanted to point that out, right? So I always look at the serving sizes, because you might be eating something that say 100 calories and only 3 grams of sugar. You'd be like, oh, I'm good. Only 3 grams of sugar. but it might be 5 servings in whatever you eating. So that's 2 times 5. So you have to watch that very close. All right.
The typical portion just isn't that big. For example, carrots have a fairly high glycemic index of 70, but the glycemic load is relatively low at 4. And this is why it's important to take both of them into account. And you can find these lists on the internet. They're fairly easy and they're well accepted by anyone. So if we look at this glycemic index of foods, and
before I continue, just a quick word from our sponsor. The sponsor of today's video is my new book, Fasted: Unlocking the Origins and Transformational Power of an Ancient Practice. Over 120 pages of pure value. It took me a whole year to write this book. I'm super proud of this book. It goes over every single thing that you need to know about fasting, health, wellness, and how to heal your body from a holistic standpoint. And most importantly about this book, I go into the research. I go into the science behind it. Matter of fact, let me see what chapter that is. So chapter 5. Let's see if it's gonna pull up. So chapter 5, right? Science behind fasting. The science behind fasting, right? Which is very important because it's a lot of pseudoscientists out here. Everything that I talk about on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram, on Facebook, on every platform I have, I always come from a scientific standpoint. I'm very scientific and very logical person, right? I'm a very logical person when it comes to information. I'm always trying to learn. I'm always trying to get better. And I'm always trying to reevaluate why I believe something. And matter of fact, I don't just go around believing something just because it makes me feel good. Case in point, why am I vegan? Well, I'm vegan because I don't believe that it's right to kill animals for sustenance. If there's another way to survive and thrive. No person that eats meat can refute me on that. That is a complete fact. So people say, oh, it's not scientific to be vegan. Well, tell me why. You can't get enough protein? Well, I didn't debunk that hundreds of times on this channel. Oh, you can't build muscle? I gained 40 pounds of muscle over my whole 7 years of being vegan. So I debunked that one. And the list goes on and on and on and on, right? So I'm vegan from a scientific standpoint. And I do everything from the facts and the data. So if you really want to improve your health and your wellness from a real standpoint, something that will actually work for you, your body, you want to get my book. You want to get the book. 10 chapters of pure value. I promise you, it's no other book on the planet like this. Every other book about fasting goes into one type of fasting. It might talk about a juice detox. It might say 10-day juice detox. It might go into intermittent fasting. How to do intermittent fasting. My book, if I go back to the chapters again, chapter 3, focus. Chapter 3 goes into types of fasting, where I go into every single type of fasting known to man and where fasting came from. I go into the religious practices. I go back to ancient Egypt, which is really called Kemet. Egypt is a Greek name when they came and invaded Egypt, when they came and invaded Kemet, but that's a story for another day. I don't want to get pro-black on y'all real quick. I don't call it Egypt, it's called Kemet anyway. But I go into everything. So if you want to really get some knowledge of self, grab this book. It will change your life, I promise you. All right. Let's get back into it a little bit more. I might stay on for about 5 more minutes. Also, if y'all have questions about fasting, health, vegan protein, how to build muscle, whatever questions you have, put them in the comments now. And make sure you like the video. Like the video. like the video, help a brother out. Feel me?
You can look
I'm giving
at
value right.
these
I'm
foods like
giving real
chicken
value
and
right.
butter and eggs and beef.
It's
And you'll
incredible.
notice
It's great.
those are mostly proteins and fats. And therefore, if you look at the glycemic index, it's 0. When you test large numbers of people, no matter how much chicken you eat or eggs or butter, the blood glucose on average goes up 0.
Now I want to, and this is another reason why anybody can watch my content, because I'm super objective. I'm not biased at all. The person that we're watching is a person who, I study from a lot, Dr. Jason Fung, but he's not vegan. You can see that he's recommending animal products, right? But here's the thing. Most people on the planet, they cannot discern information from a person that they don't like. I feel like that's the craziest thing in the world. You should be able to take what's useful from an individual and discard what's not useful to you. You should be able to do that, right? You should be able to do that. I'll give you another example. I like giving examples. Bear with me. I'm going on tangents. I really like Abraham Lincoln, right? I read his biography last year, and I really like some of the things that he stood for, right? Now, a lot of things have came out who said, well, he didn't free the slave. He freed the slaves because of other ulterior motives, blase, blase, blase. Okay. The things that I learned about him that I like, I still do like. Like you can take useful information from a person and discard other things from them. You know, I don't care who you are, you're not going to agree with you're not going to agree with everything from every person, right? It's going to be things that you disagree with them on, right? It's a lot of things that people probably disagree with me on. I find that hard to believe because I come with science, right? But anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that, but I'm pretty sure you
That's
got it.
great. So if you're eating a meal and you prioritize those foods, your blood glucose is not expected to go up at all. And that's because it's really just carbohydrate containing foods that are going to raise your blood glucose, because carbohydrates are sugar. You eat the sugar, your blood sugar goes up. Of the carbohydrates, there's still a very big difference between refined carbohydrates and natural carbohydrates. Those are the things that look like they do in nature. So, refined carbohydrates might be things such as cornflakes, baguettes, and so on. A baguette doesn't grow on a tree, it doesn't grow on the ground. It has to be refined. And when you refine these carbohydrates, the glycemic index tends to be very high and the glycemic load tends to be very high, because a lot of the refining makes it easier to digest and also tends to get rid of a lot of the fiber, the proteins, and the fats, leaving a relatively concentrated, pure form of carbohydrate. Therefore, when you eat it, the body can absorb it very quickly and you get this big spike of glucose. If you look at the glycemic index of a cornflakes, is very high at 85, and the baguette still very high at 95. And the glycemic load, which takes into account the portion size, is still very high, around 45 to 55. Now, contrast them to natural carbohydrates, because people point out that, for example, cauliflowers and carrots, they're also carbohydrates, and absolutely they are. When you look at the carrot, its glycemic index might be very high, 70 to 85. If it's cooked, it's a little bit higher, but the glycemic load is down at 4. Cauliflower has a low glycemic index of only 15, and even lower when you get to glycemic load of only 0.8. Even foods that grow below the ground, things such as sweet potatoes and beets, which are starchy carbohydrates, but they're natural, have a relatively high glycemic index, 65 to 70. But again, when you compare it to the glycemic load, you see that the glycemic load is much lower. It's down at 11 and 7 compared to white rice, which has a glycemic load of 56, or a baguette, which is 45. So natural carbohydrates and refined carbohydrates, there is a big difference. Cutting down total carbohydrates certainly is effective, but if you do have to eat some, choose the natural, whole, unprocessed carbohydrate because it makes a big difference. And it's not just me saying that. You can see this American Heart Association scientific statement, which is just from 2022. And what they tell you is that very low carbohydrate diets compared to a more moderate carbohydrate diet yield greater decrease in.
I want to emphasize the point, though, what he's trying to make. Right? The problem with type 2 diabetes and carbs and sugar and all these, because people run with this information and say carbs are bad. Carbs aren't bad. Carbs are fuel source. If we were a car, carbs would be the gasoline, right? The problem is constant consuming. I talk about this concept a whole lot, right? Constant consuming, eating all day, most importantly, snacking. Most people just snack all day. They don't really even eat. You know, you might have some chips here or a soda here, or then eat a meal, then have another little. People snack all day, and every single time that you eat, you spike your insulin, right? You spike your insulin. And every time you spike your insulin, the more insulin spikes over a day, and that day spans over into weeks and months, the less sensitive the body is to that insulin. And it takes more insulin for your body to regulate that sugar. So it's not really the glucose and the sugar that's the problem. It's the constant insulin spikes, right? And that's why fasting is so beneficial. And me personally, I do OMAD, 1 meal a day. I eat 1 time a day, right? I eat 1 time a day. So my body doesn't have to work so hard throughout the whole day trying to digest food. I eat once a day, right? And I fast for the rest of the time, right? I fast for about, between 16 and 18 hours a day. I fast, including sleep, right? I sleep for 8, then I fast for another 8 to 10 hours. So when I wake up at 5 in the morning, I fast all the way to about, about 3 or something like that, 3 or 4. Then I eat, then I stop eating around 8, right? So my insulin in my body is completely fine. That's why people sometimes say, "Oh, just because you're thin or you're skinny." I know some skinny people that have diabetes. Right? I know some skinny people got diabetes. Why is that? Well, it's because so in order to gain weight, you have to be in a calorie surplus. So you have to eat more calories than your body burns for that day. But you don't have to eat a whole lot of food to develop insulin resistance, right? You can just be snacking on some food all day, and you have constant insulin spikes all day. And your body gets less and less sensitive to that insulin, and boom, A1C goes up, and now you got all these complications, right? So I wanted to emphasize on that point. Yeah, that's why fasting is so important. You know what I mean? Fasting is super, super key. Like fasting fixes everything. I made a post on Facebook, fasting fixes everything. Somebody said fasting doesn't fix my taxes, right? It doesn't fix the IRS. It doesn't fix my tires when I got a flat. I'm like, touche, bro. You got me, man. You got me. Oh my goodness, you got me. You got me, man. It's not going to fix your taxes and your money problems, dude. Okay, cool. You got me, man. But it was funny, though. But when it comes to your health, fasting fixes everything. Trust and believe that. How long I've been on here? 54 minutes. I'm gonna go for about 5 more minutes. If y'all have any questions, put them in the comments, because I'm about to go break my fast and go eat. But I want to answer some questions, give some more value.
A1C, meaning your blood sugars are on average better. People lose more weight and they use less diabetes medication. Well, that's great.
You already tried.
Yep, and I think that's the cue to go. That's my cue to skedaddle. You feel me? I think that's what that means. But yeah, all in all, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your fitness, you have to make it a priority. I talked to somebody today and they told me, I asked them, I said, is this something that you can see yourself making an investment in as far as your health and your fitness? And they said, well, it's not really the biggest priority to me right now. And I repeated the question back to them and I said, okay, I get it. So you're saying, I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly though. Are you saying that this isn't the main priority? And it was like, well, it's not, I'm not like that, not like that. Yeah. Because it sounds crazy, right? No, your health should be the main priority to you. Without it, you have nothing. You have nothing. It's millionaires and billionaires out there right now. They will give all their money away if they can get some extra time or some health, or if they could walk properly, or if they didn't have all these illnesses, they will give it all away. They give it all away. Right? So yeah, you got to take your health into consideration, man. Me personally, I feel like I'm 21, 22, 23. That's how I feel. I wake up in the morning, I feel amazing every day. But it took a while to get here. But also I take care of my body. I take care of my health. I eat correctly. I eat properly. And people think having discipline is no way to live. Oh, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to count my calories. I don't want to work out all the time. I don't want to do this. But guess what? I feel incredible though. You say you don't want to track all these different things and do all these different things because you don't know how good you can feel. And you don't believe that you can feel good like that. Most people are walking around in a haze and they're only feeling 10 or 20% of how good they really can feel when they're at their optimum health. Think about that. I want you to take that away from this live stream. Are you in the best health condition you can be in right now? Do you feel the best you can feel? Because, we get used to feeling not so good. You can get used to feeling not so good, right? You can get used to your back hurting. You can get used to feeling winded going up some stairs. You can get used to not feeling the body is supposed to work phenomenal. Your body is supposed to work phenomenal. But you got to give it the right fuel. You can't be right. You're in a Ferrari. Stop putting 87 in your tank. Stop putting 87 in your tank. Putting that garbage in there. Start putting that premium in your tank. And you wonder why you don't feel good. It's the truth, man. It's true. But yeah, I've been on here a whole hour. It don't even feel like an hour. That's crazy. Hey, I talk a lot. Man. Also, drink water. If you're a woman, drink a half a gallon a day. If you're a man, drink a gallon a day. Oh, don't tell people drink that much water, Justin. It's too much water. No, it's not. Shut up. It's not. If you're active enough, you're going to need water. Just walking 10,000 steps a day, you're going to need some water in your body. Our body is made up of 75% water. What you think we need? We need water. That's why most people stay hungry and want to eat all these bad foods, because they're not hydrated. All right, so that's another key. Stay hydrated. I'm just rambling right now, but get my book. I'm just gonna put it in the camera. You know what I'm talking about? Just put it in the camera for a second. Fasted, unlocking the origins and transformational power of an ancient. And when I say ancient practice, fasting has been around for millennium. I wish I can find the one quote I wanted to talk about real fast. So let's see. Yeah. Right here. Where is that? Is that right? Yeah. Ancient Egypt. Right there. Ancient Egypt. So in ancient Egypt, fasting was often associated with religious rituals and purification. Okay. Follow me. Egyptians believed that fasting could cleanse the body and soul, preparing individuals for spiritual ceremonies and enhancing their connection with the gods. Right? And it keeps going. And I go into all different cultures, indigenous cultures, Indian cultures, religious practices, Greeks, the Romans. I go into all the different cultures of what they believed and why they fasted. And that's some ancient wisdom and ancient knowledge that's very powerful, right? That's why I say, like, there's no book like this on the planet right now that goes into all of this. And maybe you're religious, maybe you're a Christian. I go into where did fasting start within Christianity? I go into in Buddha, like I'm just gonna stop. Like I'm just gonna stop. Like this is, I'm just saying. Man. Like when I say I really do this, I really do this. Really do this. Like I'm not no people, and it'd be so funny that people think I'm just some type of influencer. Oh, how long you been a fitness influencer? Like, bro, don't you know I've been a certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist for 6-7 years? I got hundreds of transformations. I've been helping people improve their health and change their lives for years. Like I'm really, really that guy. Like being an influencer is just marketing, right? It's just the way to put myself out there, right? Because everybody's online, and I've procured a big following, like a quarter million followers across all platforms. I think it's like 13K here on YouTube, 120 on Instagram, and 150 on Facebook. So yeah, that's like 3K. That's like 300,000. Yeah, about 300,000 across all platforms. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna go eat some food. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. I'll put all my links in the comments below. They're not there yet, so once I end the live, come back to this video, go to the comments, grab my book. You can get it on Amazon. Leave a review on there. Give me a 5-star rating if you like it. Don't give me a 5-star if you don't. Make sure you read it first, then give me an honest review. And yeah, if you want help to improve your life, I have a program called Fuel Yourself University. I'll put a link to that where you can book a free consultation call with me, where we can talk about your goals, talk about your journey, what's been your struggles, and we can see if it's a good fit for me to help you out, right? It has to be a good fit. I don't work with just anybody, right? I don't work with just anybody. So it got to be a good fit for me to work with you. And I think that's it. Did we cover everything, gang? Did I cover everything? Y'all let me know. Did I miss something? I don't know. If I did, it's all good because I'm about to go stuff my face with some vegan food. And yeah, till next time, fuel yourself, don't fool yourself. Peace all the way out. I'm gone. I'm out of here.